Welcome to the latest podcast in the Set to Screen series. There's a great speech in Bandwagon, and they sit in the theater and he says, "Okay, kids, this is an empty theater, a dark space, but for the next 4 weeks, this will be your night, your day, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of that, we'll have a show." And it's a bit like this in a soundstage because it's a vast empty space, and yet you have to place a world or an environment in it. Although increasingly, this is just becoming a giant soundstage with a giant piece of blue in it. Having said that, it probably brings us to the topic of production design.
A production designer is in charge of all the sets. That is the physical environment in which all the actors perform.
She sees that cow there with a crow. That cow.
Which one?
First cow.
The first cow.
Right.
Baz has a view about how he would like to see something, and it's my job to turn that vision into reality.
In general, production design tends to be something that happens after there's a script. What's different with our process is that apart from the fact that the production designer is my wife and great collaborator, Catherine Martin, everyone calls us CM, but we begin that process as the story is being written. The issues of staging, how to amplify the idea of a scene through staging, is something that I explore on models with CM very early on, and then we take those ideas and we put them back into the text.
What Baz is always looking for from me is obviously a visual stimulus. But I think that process comes really from the fact that he's an intensely visual person. Every single thing that appears visually in a film is part of a series of deliberate choices that Baz as a director makes. There is never just a picture behind someone's head in one of Baz's films that doesn't have a thought process behind it. There's always this kind of endless chicken and the egg thing when we start to work together, that the images that pertain to that particular idea or story start to feed the storytelling, and the storytelling then feeds the image. The reason you make drawings and pictures of what you imagine, you use them as tools to understand the physicalisation of those ideas. Could this possibly have happened? What did people actually wear? What details could help fill out the story, enlighten a character? What really did happen then? What is the social context? How does that impact on the story? To get a look at them in 3D, so to speak, so you can actually say, oh, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. That mechanism has become more and more sophisticated. We now completely and utterly shameless in our use of every kind of collage technique, whether it's using someone's beautiful hand-drawn illustrations that we then mix with photos, or we recolour, or we chop up and combine. Sometimes people don't even realise that we haven't built the set yet when we show them the boards because they look so photographically accurate. Obviously, I don't do everything myself. I have a really big team, a lot of them long-standing collaborators, like my supervising art director, Ian Gracie, art director, Karen Murphy. I have a team of 3D artists, conceptual artists who paint pictures for me, illustrators, graphic artists, drafters, set designers. There's a very large team backing me up. The person I probably collaborate with most is Silvana Azzi-Harris, who's my long-time collaborator of 10 years and works with me on everything from concept collages to the credit roll. So she's the one constant that I have kind of from the very inception of the idea to putting everything to bed at the end of the day. The creative process is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. But that's the journey. The journey is having faith in the process, that you've got to keep examining every idea you have, testing it and retesting it, tweaking it. And you've also got to know when to stop, because you can overwork something as well.
Go to the website to learn how to participate in the Set to Screen series.